When a cough or sore throat hits, one natural thing I like to be ready with is these soothing and tasty homemade throat drops. Cough drops from the store can definitely be helpful in the moment, but they do tend to contain ingredients that really aren't helpful, such as food dyes. Making them at home is easy and fun, and you can change up the herbs to change the flavor or focus on the benefits you're looking for. I also love these homemade ones because they're generally considered safe for little ones in case they have a sore throat, and you can either make them as little round candies or as lollipops, which are a little safer and more fun for the kids. And here's how you make them. I'm using marshmallow root to soothe the throat, horehound to help kick out mucus, and elderberry to support the immune system and for its awesome flavor. First, I make an infusion with the herbs, which is like a really strong tea. I pour 1/3 of a cup of dried herbs into a heat-proof canning jar and cover them with 2 cups of boiling water. I just use various amounts of each herb until they total 1/3 of a cup. Let this steep for about 30 to 60 minutes. The longer you steep it, the stronger it will be, but usually 30 minutes is about enough. While the herbs are infusing, prepare your pan or molds. If you're making drops, then all you need is a 9x9 glass pan generously greased. If you're making lollipops, prepare your lollipop mold by adding all your sticks so it's ready to go, and you'll need the greased 9x9 pan as well. Once your infusion is finished, pour it through an herb strainer or tea towel and squeeze all the tea out of the herbs. To make the drops, place the infusion in a medium saucepan and add in 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of honey, and 1 teaspoon cream of tartar. This part takes a bit of time in watching and you really want to pay attention, but it is worth the work. Turn your burner to medium-high and bring the mixture to a boil. Once it boils, turn your burner down a little so that it continues to boil but doesn't boil over. You want it to continue to boil until it reaches 240 degrees Fahrenheit on a candy thermometer. This usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes. Once it hits 240, add in 1 teaspoon of butter. You may notice that the liquid dies down right away into a thicker goop, and that is exactly what you want. This is where you want to watch it especially closely. Continue to let it boil until the thermometer reaches 300 degrees Fahrenheit, but don't let it go over this. It usually takes about 5 to 10 minutes to get this high. It can burn really quickly once it reaches this temperature, and then your candy will have a burnt taste to it. Remove it from the burner immediately and pour it into the prepared pan. You don't want to pour it into the molds directly from the pan, as the syrup may continue to cook and burn since the pan is still hot. If you're making lollipops, pour the syrup gently into the molds, filling until the sticks seem completely covered on the end. You can pour directly from the pan or use a ladle. Set these aside to cool and harden. If you're making drops, wait until the syrup in the pan is cool enough to handle but still warm. You want to keep checking it because once it cools, it will get hard, so you want to roll the candies as soon as you can handle it without getting burned. Lightly grease your hands to prevent sticking and pinch off just enough to make a good sized throat drop. I like to start working from the outside as it cools faster, and then I can usually work my way in and get all of it before it gets hard. Roll it between your fingers until a decent circle forms, and then set it on a wax paper lined pan to cool and harden. Continue doing this until all your candy drops are made. Once your drops or lollipops are completely hardened, tear or cut squares of wax paper in the right size to wrap each candy individually. I have rolled these in powder before, but they tend to soak in the powder and then they all stick together in the jar, so I have found it best to wrap them. Store the wrapped candies in an airtight jar until needed. Now, cleanup may look hard, but you simply fill the various pans with really hot water and the candies should melt off. I've even boiled water for this if it seems especially stubborn. Also, while you're working, watch out about setting sticky things on your counter as they may harden onto it. If this happens, simply soak them in rags of hot water and they usually pop off after a couple of soaks. So whether your sore throat is from a cold, throat irritants, or having to talk a lot, these throat drops are a lifesaver anytime a scratchy throat hits, and the taste makes them an easy way to get helpful herbs in.